Well, well, well. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
More importantly, ho, ho, ho. To which my response to that is, where? Where to ho? Anyway, hi, how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to the Christmas week edition of Chattin on the Porch. A fun little live stream that we do Monday through Thursday nights, usually. However, we will have some modifications, given that this is the week of Christmas. And we get together and we talk about some of well, I can really talk. Sure, I can. We talk about some of the things in the news. We give our views, and we otherwise try to have a good time doing it. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So please, in the spirit of the season, out of the kindness of your heart, in the era of St. Nick, in an effort to try to be nice, and every other beggy reason that I can think of, sub to my channel, daggone it, on YouTube, on Rumble, follow me on Twitter, do all that crazy stuff you guys do. And while you're at it, since you're going to sub to my channel, why don't you go ahead and hit the thumbs up button and share the link around and leave a comment in chat. I know I am so needy, but then again, it's Christmas. Everybody's needy at Christmas. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. I am sometimes known as the fine fella in the fedora, or in this case, the cat in the cap. Sometimes also known as the common man with common sense, but I am above all else, every day, for you guys, your host. Again, we are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So please, if you would not mind, share the link around, tell your friends we're here, hit the thumbs up button, leave us some comments in chat, subs to the channel, do all that crazy stuff that you guys do. It would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness, we are down to 2 days to Christmas. Oh my God. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody wang chung tonight. My goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, we're going to talk for a little while. See if we can have some fun doing it. So good to have you guys here tonight. All right, let's see who's over on the Rumble side, checking it out with us. Well, no, I take that back. We're going to start with YouTube. Let's see who all is here. Oh, my. Everybody's just getting all up in themselves. Merry Christmas Eve, Gypsy. And the Highness is in the house representing the 199. Cenk. Yo, we're going to talk about old Cenk. I have a few cautionary words to say with regard to that. Oh, and Gypsy, I see one of your comments. You're ready to sound off on this topic as well. My favorite crazy Canadian, Adam, is in the house, which reminds me, speaking of Canadians, I got to reach out to Sean from Third Railify. Brother, Sean, if you're watching this, I saw your message. I haven't forgot about you. I got to get back to you because oh, Lord, I'm up to my elbows and stuff. It's just crazy. But, Adam, we're glad to have you here, and a big old fist bump to you. Boom. 2 more sleeps to Christmas and Hanukkah. Well, that's very true. Very, very true indeed. All right, who else is here? Motard's in the house. Motard, we glad to have you, brother. Glad to have you. Oh, let's see. Robert is here. Merry effing Christmas. Oh, my. You Grinch. How dare you? Oh, my word. Merry effing Christmas. Jeez, Pete. Where's your Christmas spirit, man? Come on now. Oh, goodness. You're going to make me start doing my Joe Biden impersonation. Come on, man. Oh, jeez. Oh, who else is here? Jardin, my favorite British brother. What's up, my friend? Greetings from across the pond. So good to have you here tonight. And the professor is in the house. Christian Watson is here. Good to have you here, sir. Fist bumps to both of you, good gentlemen. Let's see. Who else be here? I retweeted to the 10 people who see my post. Well, I appreciate that. I genuinely do. All right. The wing nuts are a little slow in assembling, but that's all right. They'll roll on in whenever they need to. So It's so good to have you guys here. My energy levels are kind of so we'll see how this live stream goes. Hopefully, we put on a good shoe and give you guys something to laugh about and talk about and all that good stuff that we do here on the electronic front porch. Are you guys ready for Christmas? I'm almost there. I've got one more person to shop for, and then I got a whole bunch of deviled eggs to make. Well, actually, I'm doing a little more than that. My family this year, and we've done this on a few occasions because, as my sister is fond of saying, we now have to share her children with other in-laws and outlaws and other such people. So we're doing Christmas coming up this Saturday. And so for Christmas Day, that means more or less, the shall we say, the seasoned citizens in the family, of which apparently I am now one of them, we are going to kind of hang out together, and I have volunteered to make beef vegetable soup and cornbread. And I have to say, for a fellow that is not exactly, a 5-star Michelin chef, I make fairly decent cornbread. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to cooking, if you can give me a recipe and I have the basic ingredients, then I can do it. I can pull it off. And the irony in all that is that there are family members of mine who have been making cornbread for years. But my cornbread, when they hear I'm making it, oh, they're all about it. Okay. And I'm not trying to get up in myself here. Don't get me wrong. I just, I take a certain amount of pride in food prep, So, and I like making a pan of cornbread, especially if I have a freshly seasoned skillet. There is nothing like pulling a pan of cornbread. And if you've seasoned, now y'all out there who cook, you're going to know what I'm talking about when I get into this. If you have seasoned your skillet correctly, you will have nothing come off the bottom. It just, basically that cornbread will just pop right out. Okay. Just pops right out for you. And to me, that is the mark that you have seasoned your skillet, your iron skillet well, and that you have prepared the surface for, when you have a pan of cornbread that pops right out of an iron skillet and there is nothing in the bottom of the iron skillet, you've done your job. So I'll be making beef vegetable soup and cornbread on Christmas Day at my mom's, and then we'll get together Saturday evening and do all the stuff that we do, that we are, do the stuff that we do normally this time of the year. Well, let's hang on now. We have some food commentary here. The professor says, I make corn casserole, which is tender and great. I always make honey cornbread from scratch. Oh, now that brother, if you and I ever get in the same neck of the woods, I will invite you down to my kitchen and we'll see what kind of fixings we can make. I'll tell you what. We'll see. Me, I follow the recipe, and I am not going to lie about this. I follow the recipe off of the back of the Martha White cornmeal bag. Okay, I make up a big old tale about how I acquired the recipe, but you get right down to it. You give me a bag of Martha White self-rising cornmeal, and I just follow the recipe off the back of it. It's just that easy. Now, Gypsy says I make a mean box of Jiffy cornbread. Well, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Yes, ma'am, I do make it from a cast iron skillet. And Jardom, not to be outdone by any of us, says he can make a mean vodka tonic from scratch. Well, Jardom, you might have us all beat, brother. That's all I'm saying. Oh, you have to love the British, I tell you what. Oh, goodness me. Oh, you guys are in the Christmas spirit, I'll tell you what. So with that, let us dive into the Merry Memes section of the show. And I haven't got that many this evening, but I do have, hey, Minmo, how you doing, brother? I do have a couple or three of them, and I think you will get a kick out of it. So we'll start with our first one. And, it's the Christmas season. This season inspires people to all kinds of things. Okay. And Jardam, I think you're going to appreciate this one perhaps more than anybody else when I get around to popping this one up on the screen. I mean, this season inspires people to all kinds of things, acts of charity, acts of kindness, in some cases, very bad things, which we'll get to one of those here momentarily. But I don't think they were inspired by the season. I just think they were inspired by evil. But anyway, all kinds of people are inspired to all kinds of things. And one of those things that can happen is Christmas poetry. And I came across something that, maybe it works for this time of the year. Maybe it doesn't work for this time of the year. But you know what? I thought I'd share it with you anyway. Roses are red, violets are blue. Vodka is cheaper than dinner for two. That kind of Christmas wisdom is just something that, you just can't find anywhere. You really can't. It's just kind of amazing that way. So give her credit. I mean, give those girls from Absolutely Fabulous so much credit. It's true. I mean, roses are indeed red, violets are indeed blue, and vodka is cheaper than dinner for two. And yep, Jardam, I knew it. I knew if anybody was going to appreciate this, brother, it would be you. So with that in mind, from our hearts to yours across the ocean, cheers on you, brother. There you go. And no, in case anyone is wondering, I'm being a good boy tonight. This is just Diet Coke. So there you go. Oh, gorgeous. How are you doing? How are you doing tonight, gorgeous? Mwah. Oh, AbFab is absolutely hysterical. Look, I don't care if you're liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican. This AbFab is something that crosses all party lines. So, yes, I am all for Absolutely Fabulous. So there you go. Oh my word. Oh my word. Now, speaking of Miss Gypsy, and I have to thank her for this next one. And and again, since we're kind of getting down to the end of the year, I owe you guys a lot of thank yous. A lot of thank yous indeed, because you guys are you are the coolest audience on the internet. We may not be the biggest yet, but you guys are definitely the coolest. You provide memes. You provide some of the funniest takes that I have ever come across. You guys make me belly laugh right out of this chair sometimes. I'm not going to lie. There's moments you guys strike me so funny, I about fall over laughing. And, you are a very unique group of individuals on Rumble, on Twitter, on YouTube. You guys are just absolutely wonderful. And, you guys are always providing stuff all the time. So for the bottom of my heart, thank you. And with that, it's not, you go around, doesn't matter if it's the mall, your local department store, if you still have one, or the town square, you always see children sitting on Santa's lap, and they're always asking Santa for something for Christmas. Well, I don't know. This has got to be one of the more unique ones I've ever seen. Sometimes kids ask for things that Santa seems to think that is not possible. And they'll try to always steer them back, but I don't know. I think Santa might be convinced it's easier to get a unicorn than to get a government that doesn't violate your rights and plunders your wealth. So yeah, this So there you go. Now who is this? We have a Twitter person here, Farm Girl. Brian has such a comforting. Well, thank you for that. That's very sweet of you to say. And by the way, thank you for popping in from the Twitter side, Farm Girl. And I mean that in all sincerity. I truly do. On occasion we have some people who pop in from Twitter, but not that often. And I just love it when people, don't get me wrong, I love my audience wherever they may come from. But yeah, I just love it when Twitter people pop in. And I thank you, first of all, for your kind comment, and also for for popping in from the Twitter side. We genuinely do appreciate that. And Merry Christmas to you. So yeah, welcome, Farm Girl. I think this may be if this is your first time here, thank you very much for stopping by. We are glad to have you. And don't be no stranger. Come on back. We're a fairly friendly bunch. We don't bite too hard. Wait a minute. Probably shouldn't have said that. Anyway, you guys know where I'm coming from. Oh, goodness me. Goodness me. All right. One more. And I hadn't necessarily planned to pop this one up here, but somebody sent me this in text. I will not say who it was. And, for the sake of, protecting their privacy, but this is just too daggone funny not to share. I thought you guys get the biggest kick out of this. Sometimes when you hear something or you sing something, you think that everyone's going to be able to appreciate it. However, there are moments, there are just certain things you shouldn't say, nor are there certain things you should not sing. And, this is one of those moments when you ought to be very careful of what you sing, especially considering where you might find yourself. So, yeah, going to a psych hospital and singing, "Do You Hear What I Hear?" may not be your best alternative. I mean, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, so, and this is one of those life lessons, always one of those life lessons. Choose carefully what you say or what you sing, because you just never know what somebody is going through. So there you go. And to the person who gave this, cheers. Oh, my Adam. Oh, my God. You had to go there right to the. Oh, my God. What am I going to do with this audience? Y'all are just. I love you, but sometimes you're just wrong in so many different ways. I tell you what. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Y'all are bad. Y'all are bad sometimes. Okay. Got a couple or three different news items I'd like to discuss with you guys. And this one wasn't on the menu. But you know what? I don't know. I don't know. There's so many angles at which to think about this story. You guys heard about what happened up in New York City to the lady who was set on fire in the subway? I mean, okay, first of all, there is no good time in the world for something like this to happen, especially at the Christmas season. Which by the way, and I'm trying to find let me digress for 1 second before we get to the story, because I want to try and do something out of kindness and out of compassion. On occasion, and I'm sure you guys have watched his stuff because he's a fellow content creator. He's just basically a good guy. And I'm trying to be very delicate about how I do this, or what I advise you to do. But the other day, a member of this audience, and it doesn't come in often because, bless his heart, he's on the other side of the world. And he reached out to me, and who I'm referring to is a friend of mine from New Zealand, and y'all are probably familiar with him. It's Welsh Republic Podcast. And he and his family are now going through a very horrible time right now because his grandfather passed away. And I'm trying to do this as delicately as I can. And he reached out to me and he said, I've been up all night. I can't sleep. I'm stressed out. And we talked for a little bit about it, and I'm not going to go into the contents of the conversation, but he's experienced a death in his family, and I don't know, and I may be speaking out of school here. So Welsh, if you see this later, brother, this was not intended in any way, shape, or form to do anything before you were prepared to talk about it. This is just, one content creator to another, someone I consider a friend of mine who actually gave me my very first interview on social media. He was very gracious to me, and he, he's going through a very bad time right now. So, I'm trying, I want to ask you, my audience, not necessarily to reach out to him. Okay. Cause I mean, bless his heart, that poor guy right now is just going through the ringer of emotions. But if you would say some prayers for he and his family. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I say, I don't know. And like I say, if I have gone ahead and, and done something out of school here, Welsh, bottom of my heart, it's not my intention to put you on the spot or your family or anybody else. If you're ready to tell it, you'll tell it. But, but if you guys you don't necessarily have to reach out to him. Matter of fact, I'd probably appreciate it if you didn't. But say some prayers for he and his family. Because, like I said, he reached out to me. Was it Sunday? Yeah, Sunday morning. Sunday morning here in the U.S. And I just felt horrible for the poor guy. It's like I told him this much, and that's this much I will share of the conversation. I said, there is no good time to lose a family member. Okay. But especially at Christmas. It's just, so if you're all thinking about him, like I said, maybe he's made it public, maybe he hasn't, but if he hasn't, just kind of, you don't necessarily have to reach out to the poor guy, but if you think of it, say some prayers for him. I'm sure that, he would genuinely appreciate it. So anyway, it was on my mind, and I thought I'd kind of put that one out there. But anyway, New York City. An illegal immigrant set a woman on fire on the subway train. I'm like, how the hell does this guy do this? So I kept rolling this thing around in my mind. I'm like, this is just nuts. So I got a couple of stories here, and then I guess we'll want to briefly discuss this. Like I said, this one wasn't on the menu tonight, but it just, how did this guy pull this off? Did anybody try and help the poor woman? What were the cops doing? And from what I understand, how the heck did this guy get back in the country? Because we deported him once. Anyway, let's get to the story. From the pages of the NewYorkPost.com, we have the following. Story by Jenny Tower, Joe Marino, and George Fitzgibbon. We have the following. Headline: Fiend accused of burning woman to death on New York City subway is an illegal migrant from Guatemala who sneaked into the U.S. after he was deported. Dateline, New York City. An illegal Guatemalan migrant accused of setting a strap hanger on fire and gawking as she burned to death was once deported, but sneaked back into the U.S. and the Big Apple shelter system, sources told the Post. The accused firebug, who has not yet been charged, first entered the U.S. illegally at the Arizona border in 2018, but was nabbed just days later and shipped back home. He later crossed the border again, dodging federal agents and finding his way north to the 5 boroughs, although it is unclear how long he was in the city before the horrific F-train attack on Sunday, the sources said. Going a little further into this article, yeah, here's what this dude looks like. Look at this guy. Piece of, yeah, and by the way, this gets to something else. And look, maybe the folks at Twitter were thinking about this, maybe they weren't, but I've seen video of the woman literally burning. They didn't try to pixel it out like they did here with this picture. And maybe, well, I can't really say it's a technological issue. Surely to God that Twitter's got some way of being able to more tastefully show what happened. But at least I give the New York Post credit. They pixelated this out. Thank God. Now, Joe, I don't know if we can deport your sister-in-law or not. But I'll let y'all sort that one out inside your family. Bless your heart. Anyway. So going a little bit further into this article, and let me pop this back up here. What is clear is that by April 2023, he was staying at a Days Inn hotel on 36th Street, which had been converted into a migrant shelter, the first of 4 tax-funded facilities in the city. When he was issued a transit ticket in 2023, he gave an address of a shelter on Randall's Island, the sources said. On Sunday, police said he was on the Coney Island Stillwell Avenue subway station, calmly watching the sleeping passenger he allegedly set on fire as she burned to death. Oh my God. Dramatic video obtained by the Post show cops swarming the fiery scene, with the migrant getting up and walking away, but cops nabbed him and took him into custody. Law enforcement sources said the illegal firebug is still pending autopsy results on the victim. Brooklyn prosecutors are now awaiting word on whether the flames caused the woman's death, which could mean murder charges against the suspect. Quote, "The depravity of this horrific crime is beyond comprehension, and my office is committed to bringing the perpetrator to justice," said DA Eric Gonzalez in a statement. "This gruesome and senseless act of violence against a vulnerable woman will be met with the most serious of consequences. Every New Yorker deserves to feel safe on our subways, and we will do everything in our power to ensure accountability in this case." The suspect does not appear to have any previous criminal history. All right, that's one article. Okay, and we got an accompanying piece from the New York Post. Yeah, 29-year-old woman. Yeah, beautiful young lady. Absolutely beautiful. The other piece that we have is the following. Let me pull this up for you guys. And we have the gentleman's name. Horrifying images show maniac Sebastian Zapata Khalil, accused of burning woman to death on New York City subway, watching her burn before telling cops he doesn't remember. All right, that's an interesting one. Article by Joe Marino and Chris Nessie. We have the following. Horrific new photos show the gruesome scene inside a Brooklyn subway car where illegal Guatemalan migrant allegedly set a sleeping woman on fire and then calmly watched her burn, later telling cops he had no memory of the savage killing. Surveillance images captured by MTA cameras in the F-train car allegedly show Sebastian Zapata Khalil standing in the mostly empty F-train car, his hand in his hoodie pockets as flames engulf the woman. Look at this. I mean, the guy is just standing there, literally watching her burn to death. Jesus. Yeah, why don't you put the hood over that white bag? Well, never mind. Oh no, I agree with you. And that Adam, this gets to something else. This does get to something else. We'll talk about that here in a minute, but I'm going to pop that comment right back up here. Or somebody like a Daniel Penny. Anyway, going a little further into the article, fresh video of this monstrous killing also appears to show Zapita Khalil attempted to fan the flames with a t-shirt or other similar garments as the flame rose to the top of the subway car. The suspect was arrested a short time later on another subway train with a lighter in his pocket, and no clear motive has been established, sources tell the Post. Zapita Khalil later told investigators he was drunk and had no recollection of setting somebody on fire. Incredible. Sean from Third Railify is over on Rumble. Hello, my little ducklings. Sean, I got your message, brother. I'm not ignoring you, but I am up to my elbows in stuff. But if you'd like to, I would love to have you come on the channel sometime next week and talk about Canada. But let me reach out to you and we'll hook something up. But yeah, I see you up there, my brother. So, and welcome in. And Merry Christmas from the lower 48, by the way, to you and your family. Okay, let's talk about this for a few minutes. I'd heard about this. I had heard about this and effing psychopath is right. First of all, we did the right thing back in 2018. We deported his happy rear end. We put him out. And the SOB sneaks back into the country, makes his way up to New York City. No, I did not just. I was blowing you a kiss. Thank you very much. Woman gets a fresh pair of sweatpants and she gets all up in herself. Lord. Anyway, we deport this guy. He sneaks back in. He gets to New York City, roaming around doing whatever it is he's doing in the meanwhile. But laying all that aside for a second, and I agree with Z Highness, build a wall, absolutely, among any number of other things that we need to do to protect ourselves. But I guess here's my question, and look, it's real easy for me to sit down here and armchair quarterback this thing, okay? Because I'm not there. I'm not in the situation. I'm not seeing everything going on. But I guess my question is this, and I'm not necessarily trying to come down real hard on anybody but okay, the car is mostly empty. All right. Was it so empty that nobody saw this going on? And when someone did realize that there's a fire, did they not try to see what was going on? If they did see the fact that it was a person who was on fire, did no one try to help this poor woman? And again, I'm reading a couple of posts from the new articles from the New York Post. I'm trying to grab some things from Twitter. So, I mean, I understand my perspective on this is probably very limited, but I've got questions. And don't get me wrong, y'all New Yorkers up there, I love you to death. Okay. But some of y'all, I got to ask you, what the hell with y'all? I mean, look, could you have been worried about the fact, did he have a gun? Did he have a knife? Okay. I might understand that. But when the guy is standing there fanning her with like whatever clothing article he's got to try to help her burn up faster, and y'all are doing nothing to help this woman. I mean, mother of God. Well, now, okay, that's a good point. Maybe they had the instinct to help. But now, because of what Alvin Bragg tried to do to Daniel Penny, because Daniel Penny just did what any red-blooded American would do, or not even just red-blooded person. He just got in there, tried to help. Maybe now New Yorkers are so scared that, I would otherwise do something, but yeah, right, throw my own ass in jail. And if that's the case, then what happened to this poor woman, in part, is on Alvin Bragg. The law should not be used, and I know this is really simplistic and easy for me to say, but the law should not be used to punish people for using their common sense and acting on the basic God-given decency that they ought to have toward their fellow man. I mean, Daniel Penny, saw this man in a moment of drug-induced mania, threatening his threatening his fellow passengers on a train, and he tries to get the guy subdued. And what happens for trying to be a good guy? And not that he was doing it for praise. He was just trying to do it, try to help his fellow passengers. What does he get for it? Prosecuted. So, I mean, to go to Gypsy's point, and this is why I want to talk about this, is part of the reason why no one reached out to help this woman was they were so scared to death of what might happen after the fact? Really? If that's the case, like I said, if that's the case, then this woman's death is in part on Alvin Bragg. Or maybe you can more broadly take it out and say this is on the entire system of New York City culture that tries to punish the innocent for doing the right thing and lets the guilty go free. Yeah, and Jardom, brother, you may be spot on with this. I mean, look, to take it back to your country, I mean, y'all are just, I just feel bad for some of the stuff you guys are going through over there. I mean, you guys can't even speak freely anymore, And yeah, I think you're right. People are scared to death, be it in your country or in mine. But I just, like I said, and there's going to be more about this that comes out, but it's just like, my God. I mean, is there evil in the world? Yes. Is it conceivable that this volunteer for a wood chipper, could conceivably do something like this? Absolutely. And by the way, in case you're wondering what I think ought to happen to the guy, forget taking him to trial. I say we help him to voluntarily face the front end of a wood chipper face first. Just saying. I mean, give him an up close personal inspection of the thing, But it just, there is evil in the world. There are people who commit evil. But have we reached the point? And again, oh, no. I don't want him to go feet first. I want him to go face first. Forget that. Feet first is too good for him. Sorry, Lana, I love you, but no, face first, let him go ran. Heck no. Just let him get the shit scared out of him. Pardon my language. But have we reached the point, especially in a place like New York City, okay? Have we reached the point that we have punished the innocent and people who would otherwise try to do the right thing, have we scared them to death so much that when they see a woman on fire, they're scared of the consequence of using their basic humanity and the basic God-given decency to try and help. I mean, like I said, there's going to be more details that come out about this, things that we don't know right now. And with every story, there's always, the old Bongino rule, 48 to 72 hours. So I don't know, man. I just don't know. I don't know. Yeah. YouTube, welcome in. Glad to have you. Yeah, I get what you're saying. And it's a crying shame we have to think this stuff. True, Jessica. True dat. True dat. True dat. I mean, I came across that one and I'm like, man, oh man. Oh, and you know what? The legendary Thomas Sowell is absolutely right, Jardom. He's absolutely right. I just saw that story and I was like, you know what? I got to talk to you guys about this one because it just really has so many different, I mean, and not even the story itself, but the things that it says about us as a society, it just kind of got on my brain and I want to talk about it. All right. Tell you what we're going to do. It's about 10 minutes after 8, and I will do a real fast commercial and we'll move on to another topic. Or maybe, as I like to compare it to, moving on to a different compartment of the train, as it were. Well, yeah, probably so. Probably so. Extrajudicial killing. Yeah. That gets into a whole discussion of the death penalty, which sometime YouTube, I'll be happy to take up with you. Which, for the record, yeah, I'm pro the death penalty. I should have said after he was tried, but, my emotion got the better of me, so apologies in advance. If you're enjoying this little exchange between YouTube and myself and the others in our chat, which I've got a wonderful little audience here, we do this Monday through Thursday nights. And my name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. And we talk about stuff that's going on in the news, like what happened up in New York City and other places. So if this is your cup of tea, why don't you go ahead and do me a favor? Subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, leave a comment and chat, hit the thumbs up button and all that good stuff. It'd be greatly appreciated. But I've got a channel on Rumble and I got a channel on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to them both. Yeah, I did. I did YouTube. I will admit it. I did say it. And yeah, he should get his trial. But if he's found guilty, I'm all for the death penalty. Let's just put it like that. All right. Cenk Uygur. There are so many things that one could say about Cenk Uygur. And Lord knows he probably deserves every last one of them. Okay. But I don't get all this love all of a sudden that some of my fellow conservatives or brethren on the right are giving old Cenk. Now, hang on. Let me explain this. For those of you who don't know, Cenk Uygur is the founder of the Young Turks. He is a self-described populist lefty. He is any number of different things. And ever since the election, when his girl, Kamala Harris, and yes, Kamala was his girl, let's just be honest about it. Ever since she lost, old Cenk's been out there singing a different tune. Okay. Well, allegedly, yes, we'll just leave it at that. Allegedly. And a lot of people are like, hey, listen to what Cenk is saying. He's with us. Well, this has kind of reached a crescendo. Charlie Kirk invited Cenk Uygur to come out to AmFest out in Phoenix, Arizona, which took place over the weekend. And the reaction that Cenk got was rather astonishing. And it kind of got me thinking about a whole bunch of different things. And Z Highness and several of y'all are ready to tee off on this subject. So I've got a couple of 3 clips, and I just want to play some things and just get you guys' commentary, and I'll give you my thoughts on it as well. So the reception that Cenk Uygur got, now you would think that Cenk Uygur would be the last person to be well received at a Charlie Kirk sponsored event like AmFest, okay? But boy, let me tell you, the boy came in like a conquering hero. You don't believe me? Give me a sound check on this. Let me know if you guys can hear it. But listen to this.
Cenk, welcome.
I mean, You'd have thought it was Robert Kennedy being introduced by Donald Trump or something. I mean, this is crazy. Whoa, yeah, y'all are teeing it up right now. I can see it already. Yep. Phooey. Well, such language, Z Highness. My goodness. Yeah. Here it comes. But Cenk, I mean, and now let me say, yeah, well, no, this is true. And Robert, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely correct about this. You're absolutely correct. And this is another good point we're going to get into here in a minute. Okay. Now, let me say some things at the start. Turning Point USA is Charlie Kirk's organization. Now, granted, there are boards of directors and other people involved with it. So I'm not saying, it's his show solely by himself, but it's generally recognized as Charlie Kirk's organization. If Charlie Kirk wants to invite Cenk Uygur, that's his own business. I mean, fine. I mean, who am I to object? I'm not going to sit here and tell Charlie Kirk what to do inside his own organization. And if Cenk Uygur wants to take the invitation and come out there, well, it's fine. It's his business. I just don't know that I'm quite ready to forgive old Cenk for everything he's ever said and done. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, he said some very interesting things. For example, I got a couple of clips here. I might play some or all of it. But he did have some interesting observations to make. Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, he did say that. There ain't no denying it. He did say that. Yeah. Well, Jessica, you're not the only one who has an appreciation for Anna Kasparian. She is a very lovely young lady. There ain't no denying that. Okay. Yeah, oh man, this has got so many angles to it, so many different angles. But anyway, so Cenk Uygur's up there talking with Charlie Kirk, and he has a few observations to make. And we'll stop and start this as much as we need to, etc. And with that, some pearls of wisdom from old Cenk Uygur, the head of the Young Turks.
On the right, you guys do a great job of coalescing. Okay, so you do a couple of things well. You work together well, and you're more welcoming, if I'm being honest.
We're glad Cenk's here, right, everybody?
I don't know about that, Charlie, but okay, you can continue now.
And a lot of people on the left know this as well. If you agree with MAGA 5%, the answer you get is welcome, right? Come join us, right? On the left, if you disagree 5%, they go, get out of here. You're a right winger. You're a fascist.
Okay.
Right?
Now I want to stop and talk about this for 1 second. I think Cenk Uygur is half correct on that statement. And we've talked about this. Lord only knows how many times we talked about this. If you get even, if the pitch of your buzzing bee self, if the pitch is even off just a hair, in other words, if you say one little thing that disagrees with the orthodoxy that is the religion of modern progressivism, and yes, it is its own religion as far as I'm concerned, then they will throw you out the church, okay, right out the front door, because you're going to be called a heretic. All right. Even if you do as little as to question some of the orthodoxy of modern liberalism, progressivism, I just may as well call it liberalism because it's what it is. They will throw your butt out the church. Okay. So I think Cenk Uygur on that point, he's absolutely right. I'm not so sure as conservatives are quite so ready to say, welcome in. You agree with us on 5%? Come on in. Yeah, Cenk, I think you're giving us a little too much credit. Now, and this gets to something else, and we'll get back to the clip here in a second. I've always said, I think there are moments I think there are moments when the populist left and the populist right can agree on an issue or agree in principle. They may not agree in how you get that principle done or principle implemented, but they agree in principle. Okay, here's the problem. Now, what do we want to do about it? But this whole cult of Cenk that's starting to bubble up on the right, it's a little bit worrisome, and I've got one word of caution, but I'll come to that momentarily. All right, back to this clip. A few more pearls of wisdom from old Cenk.
But if you push enough people out and you guys welcome enough people in, eventually you win the popular vote.
I'll agree with that.
That's what I warned them about, and that's what happened, right? So, look, I propose simple rules. The 3 rules of the internet. Rule number 1, when we disagree, we fight. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Amen.
Now, rule number 2 is afterwards, we must have a beer together.
I don't know if I want to go drinking with you, but okay.
Okay? And rule number 3 is, for God's sake, when we agree, let's unite.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that either. Because like I said, there are going to be moments when people on the right and people on the left realize, okay, we got a problem here. We have a mutual issue. Let's see if we can find a way to work together. I got no problem with that either. Okay? But anyway, back to the clip.
So, for the left, we have too much division. We almost never unify. I don't mean with the right. I mean internally. The left loves to attack one another. I love you guys on the left. I love you. But every once in a while, when we get a yes, when we agree, can we please unite? And the second thing we need is for the old, I'm being honest, and on average, not everyone, of course, but for the older Democratic voters, please turn off your television sets. They're lying to you. They're tricking you. They're trying to get you to vote for corruption. They're trying to get you to vote for policies you don't even want. So if we can do those 2 things, then we'll be in great shape.
Okay, hold it. I'm throwing the BS flag right here. Okay? Cenk, with all due respect, brother, you have got no right whatsoever to tell anybody to turn off their TV set. How many times over the years have you been sitting there with you and your brethren and sisterin from the Young Turks, y'all sitting out there just seriously? You have the unmitigated gall to tell, some people on your side of the ideological aisle, hey, you better turn that TV off because they're lying to you. Oh, like you ain't never told a whopper or 2 on your live stream. Seriously? Come on, Cenk. Look, do I sit here and tell you that I've watched the Young Turks much, if not at all? Probably. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that. But come on, Cenk. Seriously? Okay. Here's where my problem starts with Cenk Uygur. I think, and maybe better to say, not so much with Cenk Uygur. Here's my problem with my brethren on the right. Okay. And again, I'm a small time, social media content creator, whatever. But I got a problem with this cult of Cenk that's starting to develop. Okay. Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm with you there, dear. I'm with you. Here's my problem. I think we're losing perspective, or some people are, to understand the difference between a frenemy and an ally. Now, what do I mean? From my point of view, Cenk Uygur is a frenemy. Okay, y'all know, I think you've heard the term. Basically, frenemy is short for friendly enemy. Okay? I'm sorry, Cenk. I love you, and I love some of y'all over there on the left, because every so often, we find an issue we agree on. Okay? We may not agree on how you resolve that issue, but we can at least identify the issue and say, okay, we both agree this is a problem. The fight usually starts on, okay, now what do you want to do about it? So that's why I call Cenk a frenemy. He's a friendly enemy. Okay. He's on, I mean, and I'm not trying to say go out and hate the guy. I'm not saying, go out and, hate on the guy or, throw rotten tomatoes at him or stuff like that. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, to my brothers and sisters on the political right, y'all need to stop and remember who you're talking about here. How much crap have y'all taken over the years from Cenk Uygur on his live streams over positions that you've held or, beliefs that you have or people you've supported? There's old Cenk Uygur just, on his live stream, just giving y'all down the road. But now he comes along after the 2024 election and he starts buddying up on you guys and y'all like, oh my God, I love Cenk Uygur. No. Recognize him for what he is. He's a frenemy. He's a friendly enemy. Cenk, I will gladly sit down and drink a beer with you. I'll break bread with you. But that don't mean I'm going to sit here and just forget everything you've ever done or said. And it dang sure doesn't mean I'm going to adopt every policy position you hold just because you give me a little bit of love on some stuff I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. I mean, this is where I'm starting to worry about this. And again, I'm not saying I'm perfect. This is the observation that y'all are, don't trust him. That's why, there's a difference between a frenemy and an ally. And I'm sorry, I'm not ready to sit here and call Cenk Uygur an ally. There are moments when we have, best way, skeptical. Well, okay, I can understand. Yeah, all right. Be very skeptical of this guy. Exactly. True, and this is a good point, Jessica. I agree. Now, Tiny Tesla, I agree with this. They unify in ways we don't necessarily do so. And Jessica, depending on the issue, they are this organized. I mean, again, if Charlie Kirk wants to invite Cenk Uygur to come out to AmFest and have a conversation with his people, cool. It's Charlie Kirk's organization. He can do that. That's fine. I'm just saying, to my brethren on the right, be very careful with this, because a scorpion his nature does not change. And I think you all know what I'm getting at, but for those of you who are not catching on to what I'm talking about, let me remind you of an old tale. Scorpion comes upon a frog. Scorpion says to the frog, I need to get to the other side of the water. Can you carry me over? The frog says, hey, you'll sting me if I carry you on my back. No, I won't do that. All right. Frog puts Scorpion on his back. He's almost to the other side. Scorpion stings the frog. When they get to the other side of the water, Frog looks over at the Scorpion and says, why did you sting me? You said you wouldn't do it. Scorpion looks back at the frog and says, but I can't do anything other than what's in my nature. Again, to my brethren on the right, be very careful loving up on this guy. I'm just saying. And again, I could wind up being dead wrong about this. I really could. I could wind up being dead wrong. But why do I have the feeling that somewhere down the line, this guy is gonna burn you? Do I watch Mark Dice? He did quite the little video on those. Charlie, no, I am not. Well, I've heard of Mark Dice. I'll be honest with you. I have not watched much of his stuff, but I've heard of him. But okay, that's not a bad idea. Thank you, ma'am. I will try and catch up on that. I just, like I say, be very careful with this guy. Be very careful. No, I mean, I'm all, hey, look, ideological revolution, absolutely. And and there are moments, there are going to be people that we are aligned with that, I would otherwise never think that would ever happen. Maybe this is one of those moments with Cenk. I don't know. But like I say, to me, there's a difference between a frenemy and an ally. And I don't think Cenk Uygur's an ally. Not by any stretch of the imagination. So again, to my brethren on the right, be very careful how you handle this. Just saying. All right. Well, it's the bottom of the hour. It's 8:30 Eastern here, 7:30 out in, other places, 6:30, then 5:30, and then 4. Yeah, if you keep going around the world, you lose an hour, basically. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that, Jardam. Yeah, sorry. I didn't quite get the context, so my bad. Anyway, it's some hour of the night out there in the world, and if you happen to be on the internet and you come across this wonderful little live stream, we're having discussions about issues of the day. And if you're wondering, who is this funny-looking fellow in the Santa hat? Well, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative, and this is Chattin on the Porch. We get together usually through the week, Monday through Thursdays, around 7:30 Eastern. Sometimes I do solo. Sometimes I've got guest hosts. Sometimes I've got guests. If this sort of thing is your cup of tea, talking about the issues of the day and everybody kind of getting to give their take, would you do me a favor? Go ahead and subscribe to my channel on YouTube and Rumble. It would be greatly appreciated. Also, while you're at it, go ahead and hit the thumbs up and leave a comment in chat, because both of those activities tend to help with the algorithm. And, really, really, really are appreciated. So leave a comment in chat, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share the link with your friends. Go crazy, everybody. Just go out there and just do all that thing. So, all right. Next topic. And I'm going to try and handle this with a certain amount of delicacy. Because, look, let's be honest about it. Y'all know me. If you've been hanging around this channel long enough, y'all know that I can come across as being just cranky and curmudgeon-y and ranty and any number of different things. But at my heart and soul, I'd like to think I'm a compassionate human being. And this next topic I'm going to bring up isn't so much focused on the question of who's involved as what I think we need to do about it. Did you guys hear about Congressman Kay Granger? She represents the 12th district in Texas in the U.S. House of Representatives. You guys heard about this? For those of you who haven't, Kay Granger, since June, has not been to her congressional offices. She hasn't been taking any votes in Congress. Not that they've been taking a whole lot of votes since June of 24. And she's been basically MIA, more or less. Well, we now know the reason why. And on a personal level, it's very sad. And truly it is. It's genuinely, truly sad. However, this story, to me, is one more piece of evidence why we have got to do something in the near future about some of what surrounds Kay Granger. And with that, I take you to the pages of the UKDailyMail.com. Missing GOP Congresswoman Kay Granger found living in Texas assisted living facility for dementia patients. Article by Stephen M. Lepore of the DailyMail.com. We have the following. A still-sitting Texas Congresswoman has been missing votes in Washington because she's living in a $4,000 a month nursing home for the past 6 months. Kay Granger, 81 years old, was set to wind up her nearly 30-year career in the House in January, has not visited her office for the past 6 months. Carlos Tucurios, a reporter for a local outlet, started doing some research by contacting her offices, which never once responded to his phone calls, going directly to voicemail. Granger's constituency office was also a complete ghost town upon a visit, with no signs of anyone working there. Eventually, one of Granger's constituents suggested to the Dallas Express that the Congresswoman was living in an assisted living facility. She was reportedly living at a care home that specializes in memory loss after she'd, quote, been found wandering, lost, and confused in her district. A visit to the Tradition Clear Fork in Fort Worth resulted in 2 employees confirming that Granger lives there. And this is a picture of the facility where she is currently residing. Going a little further into the article. Quote, "This is her home," said Taylor Manziel, the Tradition Clear Fork's executive assistant director. With a month remaining in her term and important votes still taking place in Washington daily, local officials are furious to discover her absence. Quote, "The lack of representation for Congressional District 12 is troubling, to say the least," said Tarrant County GOP Chair Beau French. At a time when extraordinary important issues are happening, including the debt ceiling, disaster relief, farm bills, and border issues, Kay Granger is nowhere to be found. The margin in Congress is razor thin, and the lack of a Republican vote representing the Congressional District 12 disenfranchises 2 million people. We deserve better. The fact that Kay Granger is unable to leave her nursing home to participate in the most important congressional vote of the year suggests she is already in a visible decline when she ran for re-election in 2022, said Rolando Garcia, a Republican committeeman in the district. A sad and humiliating way to end her political career. Sad that nobody cared enough to, quote, take away the keys before she reached this moment, and a sad commentary on the congressional genetocracy. The Congresswoman and her staff presumably continue to take in taxpayer-funded salaries. The space she's living in for the past half a year charges $4,000 a month in rent, according to 360 West. Amenities include a 24-hour concierge, lounges, card rooms, a movie theater, an indoor pool, and group exercise classes. Okay. I said at the beginning of this, I'm going to try and handle this with a certain amount of delicacy. Okay. Not much, but a certain amount. Is this a person who, by all accounts, if this story is true, is this a person who is in physical and cognitive decline? Apparently so. I have any number of questions. Okay. Any number of them. She was going to retire in January anyway. Okay. She had represented her district for going on 30 years, going back to the 1990s. As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, she got in either 94 or 96. So she's real close to that period of time when the Republicans took over control of the Congress. Okay. And she was going to retire in January anyway. Okay. Furthermore, there's a Republican governor of Texas who could have named her replacement. And again, every state is a little bit different as far as special elections. So I mean, maybe they were doing it to keep from triggering a special election to risk the seat. But that seat is so safe Republican, what's the risk? So with all that, And I already know the answer to my, or at least I think I know the answer to my question, but I'll be happy to hear you guys on this. Why in the world didn't this woman just go ahead and resign, let Greg Abbott name her replacement? I mean, was she really that hard up for money? Her congressional salary and her congressional perks are such that, she was running some kind of risk of losing them. Woman had been in Congress for 30 years. No matter what would have happened, every benefit that she would have gotten as a member of Congress still would have been retained. Is this one of those moments again where I've got my grip on power and I'm going to hang on to it, daggone it? That you think, yeah, well, yeah. I mean that that's a good point. Is it her or the staffers? The staffers are so desperate to hang on to power that they that they're just not going to give it up. That's a good point. Oh, here's a piece of news. Oh my. Oh dear. Oh Lord. Yeah. Oh God. Well, yeah, they don't want to lose the power. And that also begs some interesting questions. According to this article, she hasn't voted once since June. I'd kind of like to see the congressional voting record. I'd like to see if somebody punched her card. I really would. I mean, look, all you got to do with a vote is go up and, unless it's a roll call vote, you can just punch somebody's card in and push a button and you voted. Are we really sure that people were not, taking votes on her behalf between June and now? And I'm sorry, guys. To me, this is just one more example. We got to do something. Okay. We've absolutely got to do something here. This has got to stop. Mitch McConnell's walking around. He's falling down all over himself to the point his staff is now pushing him around in a wheelchair. Nancy Pelosi's over in Germany, falls down a set of steps, and now she broke a hip. And you got Kay Granger for 6 months, or however long it is, living in an assisted living facility because she's got dementia. This is crazy. This has absolutely got to stop. I mean, look, term limits, age limits, whatever. Okay? This has got to stop. This is madness. I mean, look, I am all for any person serving, be it in government or wherever, so long as they're blessed their hearts, they're physically and mentally able to do so. I am not going to deprive anybody the opportunity to try to help their fellow man. But this ain't helping your fellow man. Okay? This is self-aggrandizing either for yourself as a member of the Congress or for the staffers who don't want to give up the perks and the privileges and the pleasures of working in Washington, D.C. This is just madness. I mean, what are we going to find out next? That, I don't know. I mean, name somebody. We're going to find out something outrageous related to their age. And there are some people, bless their hearts, Chuck Grassley's in his 90s. Now, is he the most fleet of foot? No. Would I want to go up against Grassley in an argument because, he comes well prepared? No, I don't think Grassley's losing anything off his fastball. I wouldn't want to sign him up for the Olympic track team, but I think he's still quite capable of serving. The people of Iowa seem to think so. But this is madness what we're doing here. And yeah, we're being ruled by staffers. Yeah. Gypsy, I think you're absolutely right, dear. We really are. This is nuts. This has got to stop. I don't know what it's going to take to make it happen. I mean, there have been instances of congressmen at a minimum. Probably I could say the same thing about senators if I went back through the history of the U.S. Senate. But I know of one particular congressman who died on the floor of the House of Representatives. John Quincy Adams. The circumstances were they were having a debate on awarding medals related to the Spanish-Mexican War, and John Quincy Adams got up to make a statement, just fell over from a heart attack. Is that what it's going to take before we start doing something here? God forbid somebody's got to die on the floor of the House, the floor of the Senate, on live TV? Is that where we're headed here? I mean, look, there's a whole bunch of issues that kind of revolve around this thing, but this is crazy. We got a congressman. Yes, granted, she's headed for retirement, or was, still is, by the way. And for 6 months, she's living in an assisted living facility for dementia. I'm just saying, something got to give here, folks. Something got to give. Oh boy, yay. All right. What was it, 8:45? Yeah, 8:45. Let us proceed on to another compartment of the train, as it were. But yeah, probably right. Now, you just popped in something here, and I gotta hang on a minute. He just pardoned? Not pardoned, commuted to life. Oh my God. All right, hang on. Oh, Lord have mercy. You've got... No, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised in the slightest. Hang on a minute, guys. Up in Connecticut, did he just do it? Because I'm looking around Twitter, but I'm not seeing anything yet. Let me look at something else real fast. If you've got, do me a favor, and if you can't find it, that's fine. But do me a favor, if you got a link on this, hit me with it. Because would I be surprised to see Joe Biden do it? No, I wouldn't be surprised. But if you can find a link, send it to me. And in the meanwhile, we will move along to a very interesting conversation that took place over the weekend. Oh, okay. All right. I will keep an eye on that one. And the Boston bomber. My God. Of course he would. Anyway. John Fetterman. John Fetterman is going to wind up becoming the Joe Manchin of the U.S. Senate. John Fetterman is going to wind up being the guy on the Democrat side who you think is, going to... Well, it's kind of like Cenk Uygur. John Fetterman's going to wind up being that guy that every so often drops you a pearl of wisdom and you're just like, oh my God, he's with us. No, John's still a Democrat. Bless his heart. But he will occasionally drop something interesting that you ought to hear about. And with that, He had an interview over the weekend with Jonathan Karl of ABC News. Did you guys see any of this? This was interesting. Got a couple of clips, and this one runs about a minute. They get into a discussion about Donald Trump, and I think, I found Fetterman's comments to be fairly interesting. Thought I'd share them with you guys, just see what you think about it. So with that, check this out.
And after you survived an assassination, you literally were shot in your head, and had the presence of mind to respond, fight, fight, fight. I mean, that's a political talent. It's undeniable. And also, I never believed that it was about fascism. And for me, that made it difficult for
Kamala Harris said that he was a fascist.
I love that. Well, Kamala Harris said he was a fascist. Yeah, and liars lie, Jonathan. Really? Come on. Well, Kamala said it must be true. Bonehead. Ugh. You cannot hate the mainstream media enough. You really can't. If for no other reason, for just gross stupidity. Well, Kamala Harris said he was a fascist. Yes, and if Kamala Harris told you to jump off a cliff, would you do it? Well, apparently, Anyway, back to the clip.
Well, it's like that's her prerogative. I mean, but it's not a word that I would use, because you put a lot of Democrats, especially in my state, that I know, and I happen to love people that are going to vote for Trump, and they are not fascists. And also fascism, that's not a word that regular people, use. That, I think people are going to decide who is the candidate that's going to protect and project, my version of the American way of life. And that's what happened.
I can't really disagree with Fetterman on much of what he said. Now, don't get me wrong. He does make an interesting point about one thing. He said, I don't think people, when they hear the word fascism, I don't think they necessarily understand what it means, or it just relates to them. I agree with him on that, by the way. Rich Barris, the People's Pundit, another person, if you're not following him, do it. One of the smartest dudes in the whole of social media. And on top of that, one of the most accurate pollsters in America. But Rich Barris every so often makes the point that Republicans love to overuse the word socialism. And at first I didn't quite understand what he meant, but the more I started thinking about it, the more I realized Rich Barris was right. To a certain generation of Americans, or you can make an argument, a lot of them, the word socialism doesn't mean anything. Oh, that's what they do down in South America. Maybe, if they even recognize that much. So I think Fetterman's got a point here. Calling Donald Trump a fascist was not one of the smartest arguments that you could make as far as trying to get people to understand why they should or should not vote for him. Okay? And I also think Fetterman's got another completely valid argument, and that is, hey, they're going to vote for somebody that they think is going to help make their life better. They're not going to vote against someone just because you tag them with a label. Don't get me wrong. I am all about message disciplining, or discipline message, is a better way to say it. I'm all for that. I get it. As a campaign, as a candidate, you have to do that. But if the message doesn't stick, or you keep saying it and no one's catching on to what you're meaning, what's the point? You can spend all the money you want to on TV ads trying to drive that message home, but if it doesn't connect with people, what good does it do you? You know what I'm saying? So I think Fetterman's absolutely on to something here. I really do. Got one more clip from this. And this one I think is pretty interesting too. And I will give Fetterman credit for what he says in this clip. Check it out.
Do you think he has the potential to be a successful and a good president?
I hope, because I'm not rooting against him. If you're rooting against the president, you are rooting against the nation. and I'm not ever going to be where I want a president to fail. So country first. I know it's become maybe like a cliche, but it happens to be truth.
Okay. Good on him. We'll see how far that gets in the first 100 days or so, but okay. Let's see where Fetterman goes from here. You know, I do remember back to when Barack Obama came into office, and I'll never forget the firestorm that Rush Limbaugh caused when he says, I don't want this guy to succeed. I want him to fail. Because Rush rightly recognized exactly what Barack Obama was going to do. You know, which also, I mean, and going back to something we mentioned a minute ago, when the Democrats try to tag Trump as being fascist, the American people had 4 years to watch Donald Trump work. The American people realized this guy's not fascist. He might have some tough guy tendencies about him, but he ain't no fascist. You know. So, like I say, I found those comments from Fetterman to be fairly interesting, and you know, maybe the Neuralink is working for this guy. Oh, hard to say. Fetterman is an OG Democrat. I think there's some of that. I think there is some of that, Adam. I genuinely do. I genuinely do. Okay. Couple of nightcap items. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. I want to thank Gypsy for this one. And I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but at Christmas, this is something of a heartwarming story. And this was posted on Twitter by a gentleman named Matt Van Swole. You know, and it's Christmas. We're thinking about our families. We're getting ready to travel to see them, eat lots of food, exchange gifts, what have you. Okay. There is still a place in America called Western North Carolina and Virginia and parts of Tennessee that are still being badly affected by Helene. But some good folks did something pretty cool. And with that, again, I got to thank Gypsy for this one. Check this out. We're not going to play the whole 4-minute thing, but some folks from Lowe's and NASCAR are doing their best to help out.
It's in a sleigh or a tiny reindeer, but it's close.
This is a powerful day.
NASCAR's red pickups towed into the mountains what tops many Helene survivors' wish lists: housing.
We call this the new beginning. So many in our community have suffered and lost everything.
The work began a week ago Thursday at a different workshop in Charlotte. An effort designed in part by the Home Builders Association of Greater Charlotte.
Sometimes you feel like you can't do anything, but hey, I can swing a hammer, right? So I was like, let me go out there and just give a hand.
Chisa Brooks, CEO of Brooks Construction, has been where many in Western North Carolina are. Her home impacted by Hurricane Hugo 35 years ago in St. Croix.
And we were without power for 6 months. I was little at the time, so I can relate to the people who have lost in Asheville, and I understand what it feels like to lose a lot.
To repair this devastation calls for all hands on deck.
Did you think this was possible?
No. No, I think we started talking about it about a month ago. And I had my hesitations and anxiety about getting people to come out so close to Christmas. But we put the sign-up sheet up, and a week later, we had 400 volunteers.
From a Lowe's.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool indeed. So, Gypsy, thank you for that one, dear. All right. Got one more, and this is sort of sports related, and we will end it. We will end it on this. Good evening, Ms. Chaya. Today, for football fans, is a day of anniversary or infamy, depending on how you look at it. Professional football fans, especially. December 23rd, 1972. You've heard of the Immaculate Conception? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the day of the Immaculate Reception. And if you don't remember what I'm talking about, Pittsburgh Steelers against the Oakland Raiders, one of the most legendary and controversial plays in the history of the National Football League. And with that, take a look.
Bradshaw back and looking again. Bradshaw running out of the pocket, looking for somebody to throw to, fires it downfield. And there's a collision. That's caught out of the air. The ball is pulled in by Franco Harris. Harris is going for a touchdown for Pittsburgh. Harris is going.
To this day, former Raiders players who were in that game, people out in Oakland, California, you bring up this play and you talk about it, and they will spit on the ground. They will claim that play should have been invalidated. The legendary John Madden, who was the coach of the Oakland Raiders at the time, went to his grave arguing that was not a valid catch, that the ball hit the ground. It was in violation of various NFL rules, never should have been allowed. The Steelers never should have been allowed to win. But on this date, in 1972, this was the very first playoff victory for the fledgling Pittsburgh Steelers organization. So, thought y'all might get a kick out of that. All right. Let's bring this train into the station. And first of all, I want to thank you guys who have been here tonight for chatting on the porch. I know that we're getting down to the last hours before Christmas. People are going to start traveling. People are going to start getting ready to go to see their families. They've got lots of stuff going on. They're wrapping last-minute gifts. They're doing all that. So for those of you who've taken the time out of your schedule to be here, from the bottom of my heart, I genuinely do appreciate it. And if I don't get to talk to you anymore this week, like I said, I get it. So bless your heart for being here. And, thank you so much. I am going to be here tomorrow night at 7:30 for a very brief Christmas Eve live stream. I don't know how much news we're going to get into, but yeah, it's Christmas Eve. We'll hang out together for a little while. My plan at this point, is the live stream tomorrow night. I may do a very brief brunch on Saturday morning. But aside from that, I'm going to play it by ear, and, everybody's going to be traveling. Everybody's going to be doing stuff, and I've got various things going on. Oh, Jardome, thank you. You did not have to do that, but that's very gracious of you. Very gracious of you. Thank you, sir. That's always appreciated, my brother. But yeah, I'm going to kind of play it by ear because I got stuff going on myself. And, so tomorrow night for sure, a very brief brunch on Saturday morning, maybe, depending on how much of my things I get done between then and now, but for sure tomorrow night. Because, I want to, spend a little bit of spread some Christmas cheer. Maybe I'll even have a glass of eggnog. I have no idea. Non-alcoholic, of course. But in the meanwhile, love you guys very much. Thank you for being here. We will be back tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern. So, again, love you guys very much. Thank you for being here for Chatting on the Porch. And as we depart, remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It is faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow night for Christmas.